working to connect a region of over 600 million bridges between our lands.
Good evening, I'm Alma Angeles, and you're watching ASEAN in Focus on tonight's headlines. The Philippine Consulate in Los Angeles has issued a cautionary message to all Filipinos residing in Southern California, Southern Nevada, and Arizona in light of the potential impact of Hurricane Hilary. This advisory, issued by Consul General Edgar Badajoz, comes as the weather forecast has downgraded Hurricane Hilary to Category 1. In light of the ongoing wildfires in the Northwest Territories, Filipinos impacted by the situation are urged to reach out for support. The Philippine Consulate General in Vancouver and the Philippine Consulate General in Calgary are extending their assistance to those in need. Thailand's ex-Prime Minister Thaksin Shinawatra is set to return on Tuesday, aligned with a crucial parliamentary vote to break a political deadlock. Leaders from the U.S., Japan, and South Korea concluded their summit at Camp David, cementing a fresh trilateral partnership. President Joe Biden highlighted the commitment to uphold peace and stability in the Taiwan Strait and combat economic coercion, a tactic attributed to Beijing for political ends. And first in our news, we bring you an important weather advisory affecting the Filipino communities in the United States Southwest. The Philippine Consulate in Los Angeles has issued a cautionary message to all Filipinos residing in Southern California, Southern Nevada, and Arizona in light of the potential impact of Hurricane Hilary. This advisory, issued by Consul General Edgar Badajoz, comes as the weather forecast has downgraded Hurricane Hilary to Category 1. With over 1.3 million Filipinos in the Southwest USA residing in major cities such as Los Angeles, San Diego, Las Vegas, and Arizona, this advisory holds significant importance. The Filipino diaspora in this region is one of the largest in the world. The Philippine Consulate urges all Filipinos in these areas to remain vigilant and stay updated on Hurricane Hilary's movements. Taking precautions and adhering to the guidance of local authorities is strongly advised. Consul General Badajoz highlighted the importance of heeding the warnings from weather officials, especially considering the potential for catastrophic and life-threatening flooding. Notably, Hurricane Hilary marks the first major storm to hit the Southwest since 1939. Its journey saw it evolve from a Category 4 hurricane to its current Category 2 status, and despite the storm's weakening, the possibility of severe flooding still looms, urging residents in its path to prepare for the worst. The consulate emphasized that Filipinos in the hurricane's trajectory should stay informed by checking local advisories and ensuring all necessary preparations are in place. For those who require emergency assistance, the consulate's hotline is available at 213-268-9990. And California faces a double disaster as Tropical Storm Hilary delivers heavy rains and an unsettling 5.1 magnitude earthquake. The storm's rare southern route, coupled with the seismic activity, has prompted warnings of life-threatening floods and potential damage.
I'm Janice Multong, and we are bringing you the latest on the unusual weather events impacting Southern California today. Southern California is currently facing an unusual weather event. Hurricane Hilary made landfall in California today, but has weakened to tropical storm status. While the hurricane's strength was relatively mild compared to other hurricanes experienced along the Gulf Coast, its impact varied depending on location, with concerns about flash floods and mudslides affecting various parts of the state.
Our message today remains the same: stay safe, stay informed, and stay home.
Tropical storms are a rare occurrence in California. Inland counties such as San Bernardino have declared a state of emergency and are urging residents to evacuate. Heavy downpours are expected in the area, which could lead to flash flooding and mudslides.
I'm Lisa Phillips with the National Weather Service out of Oxnard, California. As you guys know, Hillary actually has made landfall around noon today along the northern Baja Peninsula with maximum wind speed of 55 knots. Thunderstorms. As you know, we have a tropical storm warning in effect, and because of the faster speeds of the motion of the storm, it means that the storm has less time to weaken by the time it gets here. It also means that the peak of the rainfall could be earlier. So right now, for the peak, we're looking at somewhere from now until 9 p.m. for the peak rainfall for LA, the LA basin.
Many residents rushed to stores to stock up on necessities. In some areas, like Laguna Beach, the usual bustling streets were deserted, a stark contrast to the lively scenes often filled with tourists. Coincidentally, a 5.1 magnitude earthquake struck Ventura County today, followed by a series of aftershocks with magnitudes of 3.0 or less. Shaking was reported in cities including Oxnard, Thousand Oaks, and Camarillo.
Actually, the building we're in is one of the safest buildings that's on rollers. So we felt it. The building rolled a little bit, but you know, as Angelinos, we rise to the occasion. So it was startling, but I knew that we were prepared to deal with both the rain and the earthquake.
I'm from San Francisco.
Competing earthquakes.
I think we all were sharing in a private conversation that we were all having the private conversation saying everything but ... an earthquake. No sooner did we say that, an earthquake. Look, we've been focused on earthquake preparedness for quite some time. We've invested tens of millions of dollars in new early warning system, the MyShake app. I would encourage anyone that hasn't yet downloaded the MyShake app to do just that. That's how I was actually notified. It's imperfect, but it's getting better all the time. Yeah, as I said, these are interesting times.
Despite the challenges posed by these natural events, we are relieved to report that as of now, there have been no reports of injuries or significant damage. Emergency services are on high alert, and we will continue to provide updates as the situation unfolds. Reporting from Laguna Niguel, California, this is Janice Muldong for Net 25.
As wildfires continue to ravage Western Canada, their destructive impact is being felt across two distinct regions, the Northern Reaches and Southern British Columbia. Our correspondent Thomas I. Likeness brings us the latest update, highlighting how these ferocious blazes have compelled thousands of residents to evacuate their homes. Thomas.
The most severe wildfires right now are in southern British Columbia, Canada's westernmost province. Some of the 30,000 people evacuated are being allowed back home, but they remain under evacuation alert, which means they may have to leave on a moment's notice if conditions worsen.
The situation is highly dynamic, and the numbers are changing all of the time. But as of now, we are currently hovering at about 30,000 people on evacuation order, and an additional 36,000 people on evacuation alert.
In West Kelowna, an undetermined number of homes have been destroyed by the flames. Resident Mark Ekman is one of the lucky ones. He says for now, his home is still standing. Ekman waits at his parents' house for the green light to return, and he says he just wants the danger to end.
Very worried. Friday night, not much sleep. Luckily the winds died down. Our house for now is still standing. Neighborhood still standing, and we're just thankful for that. Very much looking forward to some sense of safety. Until then, we just gotta hope, I guess.
Visitors are no longer welcome in the Kelowna area. Under the province's state of emergency, only essential travel is allowed in the region. Hotels can only rent to essential personnel fighting the blazes. In northern Canada, crews have managed to hold the fire threatening the Northwest Territories capital of Yellowknife. It's still 15 kilometers away from the city limits. Yellowknife resembles a ghost town, with nearly all of its residents evacuated. Several smaller remote communities in the territories have lost homes. This is the hamlet of Enterprise. It's completely burned to the ground.
I think it's become evident that this event is going to leave a long, lasting scar on our community. Yesterday, again, was one of the most difficult days of firefighting our department has ever faced. Our crews were sent to a street in West Kelowna, and they found 3 houses were burning, all next to each other. And the fire was expanding up the hill. It was threatening hundreds of homes above those 3. We had multiple fire engines involved in combating 3 single-family house fires, which on a normal day for us is a massive operation. These firefighters fully engaged and fought that fire. But as an example of the coordination that the BC Wildfire Service had mentioned earlier, at the same time our crews were fighting it on the ground, their crews were flying above in helicopters dropping water on the same fire. This is unprecedented firefighting tactics that are taking place out there because of the cooperation.
The wildfires have made their presence known across most of southern Canada as smoke from the blazes fills the air. It's expected the smoke will make its way as far east as the Atlantic Ocean in the next few days. That's a distance of 4,500 kilometers. The smoke is also drifting south to the United States. Meantime, it's a waiting game for those who still can't return home. They hang on to hope that when they do return, the damage will be minimal and some sense of normalcy will resume. Thomas High Likeness, Eagle News. We live in extraordinary times.
In light of the ongoing wildfires in the Northwest Territories, Filipinos impacted by the situation are now urged to reach out for support. The Philippine Consulate General in Vancouver and the Philippine Consulate General in Calgary are extending their assistance to those in need. If you are among those affected, here's how you can get in touch. For those in the Vancouver area, please contact the Philippine Consulate in Vancouver at their emergency number +1 604 653 5858. You can also reach out via email at attentionsection@vancouverpcg.org. And for those in the Calgary region, the Philippine Consulate there is available through their emergency number +1 587 577 1524. You can also connect with them via email at calgarypcg.attention@gmail.com. Now, these consulates are ready to provide necessary aid and support during this extraordinary times. This information is for the public's awareness and guidance. In other news, the Department of Foreign Affairs has verified that a senior American citizen of Filipino origin was among the casualties in the destructive wildfires that swept through the coastal town of Lahaina in Hawaii. The DFA confirmed the identity of the victim, a 79-year-old Alfredo Galinato, as stated by the DFA Undersecretary Jose Eduardo de Vega. In a heartbreaking turn of events, Alfredo's son Joshua took to Instagram to share a video capturing the moment they received the news of their father's passing. Take a look.
Yeah, sorry we've located your father. We don't know exactly the location that he was located, but he was deceased. I'm sorry for your loss.
Sorry.
Yes. Found him. Yes.
Was he? There's no corpse there.
No,
bones.
There's
bones.
Yes. Sorry for your loss, brother.
Notably, the DFA referred to the 2020 U.S. state census, revealing that approximately 388,000 individuals residing in Hawaii acknowledge Filipino ancestry. Among them, around 200,000 have both Filipino parents, but only 16% hold Philippine passports. With the blaze's death toll already reaching 111 individuals as of August 18, the numbers are expected to rise as search and rescue operations persist. Thailand's ex-Prime Minister Thaksin Shinawatra is set to return on Tuesday, aligned with a crucial parliamentary vote to break a political deadlock. Thaksin, an exile since the 2006 coup, faces political motivated charges. His return coincides with a vote to confirm Sretha Thavisin as prime minister, aimed at resolving a 3-month deadlock post-May election. Sretha needs majority support in the lower house and Senate. Thaksin's influence on Thai politics is tumultuous, and his return could add tension. Having lived mainly in Dubai, Thaksin maintains an online presence. His return plans have sparked speculation but analysts remain cautious about its outcome. Thaksin was convicted during his time abroad in 4 criminal cases, one of which has now passed the statute of limitations. His sentences for the other 3 total 10 years in prison, while he is still under investigation in another case. And in his May message, he said he was ready to face justice. He has long maintained the cases were politically motivated. Leaders from the U.S., Japan, and South Korea concluded their summit at Camp David last Friday, cementing a fresh trilateral partnership. The leaders pledged a united response in the face of regional crisis, focusing on challenges posed by China and North Korea. President Biden highlighted the commitment to uphold peace and stability in the Taiwan Strait and combat economic coercion, a tactic attributed to Beijing for political ends.
I'll just say this summit was not about China. That was not the purpose of the meeting, but it did come, China obviously came up. Not to say we don't share concerns about the economic coercion or heightened tensions caused by China.
As part of such endeavors, our 3 nations agreed to support ASEAN and Pacific Island countries with their maritime security capacity building efforts.
We also agreed to work together through the Indo-Pacific Dialogue and the development of cooperation to realize a free and open Indo-Pacific, and in particular to coordinate capacity building support in the domain of maritime security, particularly with regard to ASEAN and Pacific Island countries.
Since last summer, we've met on the margins of the NATO summit in Spain, the ASEAN summit in Cambodia, and the G7 summit in Japan. Today, we've made history with the first ever standalone summit between the leaders of our 3 countries. First, we're elevating our trilateral defense collaboration to deliver an Indo-Pacific region that includes launching annual multi-domain military exercises, bringing our trilateral defense cooperation to an unprecedented levels. And today, we've all reaffirmed our shared commitment to maintaining peace and stability in the Taiwan Straits and addressing economic coercion. Together, we're going to stand up for international law, freedom of navigation, and the peaceful resolution of disputes in the South China Sea.
The trilateral summit of leaders of the U.S., Japan, and the ROK at Camp David smeared and attacked China on Taiwan and maritime issues, an act of gross interference in China's internal affairs, a deliberate attempt to sow discord between China and our neighbors, and a serious violation of norms in international relations. We deplore and reject this and have made solemn démarches to relevant parties. We also noted that the U.S. says the trilateral partnership is not against anyone. We urge it to match its actions with words and act on its statements that the revitalization of its alliances is not targeted at China, stop smearing China's image and harming China's interests, and stop creating division, confrontation, and undermining regional peace and stability. The Asia-Pacific is a promising land for peace and development. It should not be turned into a boxing ring for major power rivalry, still less a battlefield for a Cold War or hot war. Attempts to stoke a new Cold War in the region will be firmly rejected by regional countries and peoples. Those who seek to establish and maintain hegemony in the region are doomed to fail. We urge relevant countries not to move against the trend, give up attempts to replicate bloc confrontation, in the region and stop pursuing selfish interests at the expense of other countries. The Taiwan question is purely China's internal affair. Resolving it is a matter for the Chinese. We strive for peaceful reunification with the greatest sincerity and the utmost effort, but we will never allow interference in China's internal affairs using peace as a false pretext by anyone or any force.
I'd also like to stress that China has indisputable sovereignty over the South China Sea Islands and adjacent waters. The legitimate and lawful activities of China carrying out construction on its own territory are beyond reproach. As a state party to UNCLOS, China always earnestly abides by international law, including UNCLOS, and does not accept or recognize the illegal arbitral award on the South China Sea. In recent years, the U.S. has been doing all it can to interfere in the South China Sea issue, encourage certain countries to violate maritime rights, and sow discord, jeopardizing and risking the regional order. The U.S., together with its allies, frequently conducted military exercises and close-in reconnaissance in waters around China to flex muscles and intensify tensions, posing the biggest threat and challenge to regional peace and stability. China will continue to firmly defend its sovereignty and security interests, work with ASEAN countries to fully and effectively implement the DOC, promote steady progress in COC consultations, carry out practical maritime cooperation, and firmly uphold peace and stability and boost development in the region.
The trio also agreed to launch a supply chain early warning system to safeguard against disruptions in crucial product streams. This includes essential minerals integral to electric vehicle batteries, such as lithium, cobalt, and manganese. China currently dominates these minerals production, controlling over half of the world's output, along with the majority of rare earth minerals. The situation between China and Taiwan has escalated further as China conducts military exercises involving missile-equipped vessels and fighter jets, simulating the encirclement of Taiwan. According to state broadcaster CCTV, the maneuvers were carried out to send a message and involve units collaborating to encircle the island. In response, Taiwan's defense ministry swiftly condemned the exercises, and they stated that they had deployed their own forces in a readiness posture and were fully capable of upholding national security with determination and confidence. The ministry criticized China's actions, asserting that these drills not only undermine peace and stability in the Taiwan Strait, but also underscore China's aggressive military stance. The tensions escalated with Taiwan's defense ministry reporting that 42 Chinese aircraft and 8 ships were involved in the drills. Notably, 26 aircraft crossed the unofficial median line that divides the Taiwan Strait, marking a significant provocation. Taiwan, in a show of vigilance, deployed combat aircraft, land-based missile systems, and naval vessels to monitor the situation closely. North Korean leader Kim Jong-un has overseen a strategic cruise missile test during a visit to a Navy unit, as reported by state media. This move comes just ahead of joint military exercises between South Korea and the U.S. Kim's visit included an inspection of one of his naval fleets in the East Sea, where a drill involving the launch of strategic cruise missiles was demonstrated. While specific details remain undisclosed, the missiles exhibited high accuracy, hitting their targets without error, according to state media. This development coincides with the upcoming Ulchi Freedom Shield drills, a significant joint exercise aimed at addressing North Korea's nuclear threats. Notably, North Korea often interprets such exercises as potential invasion rehearsals and has warned of overwhelming responses. These events occurred around the time of discussions between U.S. President Joe Biden, South Korean leader Yoon Suk-yeol, and Japanese Prime Minister Fumio Kishida at Camp David. As my usual habit, I'd like to end the day on a positive note. Let's encourage and build each other up so that no one is left behind. And that's it for tonight's broadcast. I'm Alma Angela. Stay in the news because we live in extraordinary times. Good night.